Welcome to Talk Theory. It's your host, Kiara Barnes, where I talk all things life, what makes us human and what makes us superhuman. Sit back, relax, and join me for a chat. Hey, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Talk Theory Podcast. Thanks for being a listener. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to keep shamelessly plugging. Fantasy Island is dropping our second season, people. January 2nd. How fitting, 2-2. And you can catch us on Fox, next day on Hulu. We're getting closer and closer and closer to this release date. I'm getting so excited. I've only seen bits and pieces when I was doing, fixing audio and ADR and stuff like that. And just from what I saw, I'm really stoked for this to come out. Just keeping you guys in the loop. Make sure January 2nd, you have that ready to go. And let's get into it. All right, people. Today's talk's kind of deep-ish. I've been having many conversations around today's topic in the past few weeks. And today's topic is about enjoying the moment. Now, some of you may be asking, what does that mean? What does that entail? And for me, what I'm trying to get at is just enjoying wherever you're at. Whatever the journey looks like today. The present moment you're in, not overthinking it or being, too far in the future, just enjoying the moment. And I won't lie, this can be tricky for me at times. And I think I told you guys this before, but I'm definitely a planner at heart. It's just the way my brain works. I'm always thinking of a billion things at once, and to just have things scheduled or planned, it helps me. It helps me feel less anxious, less stressed. But at the end of the day, even with all that planning, there does come a point where the planning and the scheduling, it needs to be let go of. Specifically, even with careers and relationships. And I've talked a lot about career stuff in a few of these episodes. So today I want to touch a little more on the relationship stuff today. Because I'm not going to lie. People, since I started dating again, it's been a doozy. It's been a little up and down situation. But if I'm being real, I realize why it's been so rough for me. I mean, there's a few reasons, but on today's topic, I just recently realized that the reason is because I've been trying to control the outcome. trying to predict who the right person is, when they're going to come into my life, if they meet my standards, et cetera, et cetera. And look, by the way, I think you should definitely have standards, stuff that means something to you. That's fine. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying get rid of your standards or whatever. I'm just saying I was getting so focused on how everything was supposed to look that I'm completely not even in the moment anymore with this person or whatever. I'm so far in my future or way back in the past, trying to draw comparisons to know what to do or how to be. But the fact of it is, no moment will ever be the same. It can look familiar, but it's definitely not the same. So what's the point of comparing? Right? I was talking to someone about the idea of letting a past relationship go and how to do that. Where do you begin? And how and why it feels so scary or looks scary to just move forward. And we were talking, I just said the only reason it really looks scary is because you're peeking through the crack of a door, right? The door is just open a little bit. Of course it looks scary. You can hardly see anything. You have to be open to whatever it is and open the door to receive full view of something. But the only way you can do that is by being fully in the moment. And when, y'all hearing the background noise, hello, it's LA. And when I'm in the moment, talk about being in the moment. When I'm in the moment, I'm not thinking about past or future. You can't. I'm not worried about anything. You know the quote, yesterday's the past, tomorrow's the future, but today's a gift. That's why they call it the present. To me, that's talking about how there's no stress in the now. That's the gift. There's no preparation for what is. You're just going moment to moment, giving attention to what's right in front of you. And the thing is, we'll end up missing all of this potential for the most beautiful life, the most beautiful people, beautiful experiences, if we don't just do exactly that. Let go, let be. And personally, I've gotten to a point, folks, I'm tired of holding on to every little thing. It's so exhausting trying to have everything figured out. And I decided I'm doing what feels good to me in the moment, long term. Meaning doing what feels good, but also keeping in mind what feels good and what's going to impact my life long term in a good way. Because I think there's plenty of things out there that technically could feel good for the moment, but later on, not so great. For example, all right, going out and drinking heavily, partying all night, whatever. It might sound fun for someone, right? In the moment, you're with your friends, you're no worries. It's just drinks and good times. But long term, aka when the party's over, the drinking's over, they shut the bar down, the whatever. Next day, you're sick. At least I would be, right? Sick, you're suffering from a bad hangover. That happy moment decision wasn't really the best long-term decision anymore. So, you can still live in the moment, but it's also about listening to your gut or your intuition for how it's going to make you feel down the line. And that's another episode maybe actually in the future about how to trust your intuition, because that's another topic that's been definitely coming up. Anyway, I feel like we tend to second guess ourselves more than we should. Why do we do that? I don't know. I think it's a confidence thing. And a learned behavior. We adapt over the years, but we need to break that habit. We have our ears perked up to our fears more than that voice inside of us trying to lead us to better outcomes, better experiences. But that's another reason, right? It's hard for people to be in the moment. We, and I included, when we don't face reality, we choose not to. And it's easy for us to not be in reality. It's really easy. We have YouTube, TV, Instagram, TikTok to distract us from whatever it is that's actually happening. And that's a thing about living in the moment and being present. Not every moment is the best moment. But even in those moments, it's always better to feel your way through rather than just ignore it. It's better to recognize where you are in that present moment in order to address it and get out of it. So even in the case of being in a place that's undesirable, it's still actually in your best interest to be present during. And it's funny how that works, but it's true. It's making the conscious choice that the moment will pass, as all moments do. You won't feel however you feel right now forever. And I was talking with a new friend of mine, and he said, why do you think life doesn't continue on? Why is there an expiration date? And I just said, we're just talking theory wise. And I said, I don't know. I guess the completion of a cycle. And he said, yeah, yeah, okay. But I think it's even more than that. He said, don't you think it makes the whole experience of human life a lot more interesting, a lot more meaningful, right? We're just a bunch of random people, I believe, souls put into bodies to experience human life. And we're here for an allotted amount of time. Why, right? Why you? Why you now? Here. And asking that question and knowing that you won't have every day to look forward to. You really just have the now, because you really don't know what's to come or what's going to happen. No matter how hard we try to plan, we won't ever truly be able to know everything. Every moment becomes much more important, much more precious when you have that perspective. And it's a concept and way of thought that's pretty sobering for me, because it's just so point blank. I'm sitting here worrying about XYZ and what the next 3 months or a year is going to look like, the 5 years, and I don't even know for sure if I'm waking up tomorrow. And this is not, again, this is not to come off morbid or sad, but more so bringing you back to, wow, the now. This is really the best point of life right now, is me just breathing here. Because that's all I got right now. And it's funny, my manager and I were talking the other day about this and just living in the moment and taking what people say as face value and stuff like that. And he said, after we're wrapping up the conversation, he just, yeah, I'm just going to lick the salt off my hand before I take a quick shot of reality. I don't know. I thought it was funny, but a great analogy for exactly what we're talking about is there's all these other things going on, but sometimes you need that quick shot of reality to sober you back up. Life is really precious. So why waste time on overthinking situations that you don't even know are going to happen? You know what I'm saying? Or that you're going to be there for, or going to pan out that way. And I guess the real trick is to get comfortable in what is. To finally stop pushing water upstream. To just be where you are. And let me tell you, this way of life is so much less stressful, people, because there's no over planning. There's no overthinking. You're only doing and planning, I guess, for what you can in the moment and allowing whatever else to be as it is and pan out how it's meant to pan out. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Things only seem scary or create a feeling of fear when it's new. When things are new, we don't have all the information. So what starts to happen? Well, our brains begin to try and fill in the gaps, add as much information as possible, because we've been programmed and it's been normalized that, well, hey, if you have more information on something, then you'll be more prepared. You'll feel safer or more safe, which in a lot of ways, that's true, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you can be a little too over prepared, too over occupied by thoughts. And it's really just learned behavior that we continue to relive and recycle until we decide to let go at some point. But it's like, okay, well then how do we break out of that constant cycle, the over planning, the over analyzing, the future tripping? And in my opinion, you just have truly, you get to a point where you yourself, you're just tired. You're just tired of it. And that sounds super basic, but it's really that simple to me. You'll know mentally, you'll get to a point of absolute exhaustion and will want to just stop overthinking. You'll want to relax. You will. Now, there are ways that you can snap yourself into the present. And I always talk about this one, but it's because it's so powerful and it really works. But meditation, I'm telling y'all, just by taking a few deep breaths in general, you've instantly brought yourself back into the present. Because when you're breathing deep, you're so focused on the quality and amount of air you're letting in, releasing out. You're not really thinking about much else. Now, if you do that deep breathing for even more than like 5 to 10 minutes, that feeling and presence of awareness, it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. The longer you go, the more present you become. And if you've ever tried meditation or a guided meditation, have you ever noticed how you feel directly after? Usually, you're pretty relaxed, regulated, you feel balanced. Sometimes you could feel a little sleepy, because you're so relaxed. Sometimes you can feel inspired, energized. Either way, it's because that energy that you were, circulating over and over wasn't being used and deposited in places of the mind that it didn't need to be in. So you used all of that energy for yourself. So of course you're extremely regulated. You just put all that energy into breathing, which is like the bread and butter of the body. The next technique is paying attention to detail. How things feel around you, how things sound, and physically engaging with your surrounding or environment to just ground you. Our senses, people, are so powerful, and it's what brings us back into any given moment. I've tried even stating things, actually, that I see in a room when I maybe feel some anxiety, to help me level myself back down. And really you just start listing at least 5 things you see in the room and then adding on to that if you'd like. And the point of that exercise is to ground you in reality, to remind you that, oh, I'm seeing this physical thing. It looks like this. Oh, I'm seeing this other thing. And it really does work. It just helps, like I said, ground you. The next thing I'll say is having some kind of affirmation, sentence, or way of thought that you can go back to, that's going to bring you to the now. For me, as odd as it sounds, it's the thought of life expectancy. It just immediately puts things into perspective for me. There's no sugarcoating it. It's just, it is what it is. Anytime I have a conversation about human existence, the meaning of life, suddenly I feel a lot less stress over whatever it is that I cannot control or was worried about. And it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to exactly be that, but having something you can just say or think about will bring a fresh perspective in for you to feel less worried and more in the moment. And that's just incredibly helpful. Look, at the end of the day, folks, we're all just trying to do our best, okay, with what we have. There's nothing that we can truly prep for. We don't have all the answers, Sway, okay? We don't have all the answers or knowledge on how our lives are going to pan out exactly down to every last detail. Don't get me wrong. You can have intentions, desires, goals, aspirations. Absolutely, absolutely. And wants or whatever. But there does come a point where you just have to let go and live and see how things pan out and just take them for what it is in the moment and go from there. Ultimately, you just need to trust that you're exactly where you're meant to be. You're exactly where you're meant to be right now. So today's theory of the week is this. When you're present, you'll know true freedom. Ooh, let me say that again. Hold on. Let me get that right. When you're present, you'll know true freedom. When you're present, you'll know true freedom. There's nothing to worry about or to do when you're just here. And I encourage you all to really try and tap into that, especially with the holidays and end of the year coming up. I think it's so easy to get overwhelmed and try to do a little too much all at once. So just, relax. You're okay. We're okay. It's all good. Just be here. Relax. Breathe. Because you know what? That's really all you can do. That's really all you can do. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever or wherever it is, where you are, baby, that's where you are. And that's that. That's that. That's all. And the more we just let go of the need to control, the easier and easier that is to accept. Okay? So I love you all. And thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I appreciate you guys so much. I will see you next Monday. And again, thanks for joining. Okay, love you. Bye.